Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. And as always, we're back with another massive show to bring you all this morning. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video. And if this is your first time watching the show, please do subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner, get involved. On the show this morning, we're going to be talking about Sir Jim Ratcliffe's plans for the January transfer window. And unfortunately, it doesn't look particularly good. We're also going to be talking a little bit about Jadon Sancho's future. And it looks like Dortmund are circling to bring him in the January transfer window. We'll of course be talking about that. Lots of other stuff to get into. Do make sure to get involved in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss on today's show. So let's start off with the Jadon Sancho story then. So this is coming out from the Times in the UK this morning. And they're reporting that Dortmund have already held discussions about the possibility of bringing back Jadon Sancho, either permanently or on loan in the January transfer window. It says Edin Terzic, who I assume is the Dortmund manager, has kept in touch with Jadon Sancho. His superiors at Borussia Dortmund have discussed the possibility of Sancho returning in January, but are unwilling to cover his £300,000 a week wages or pay anywhere near the £73 million they received for him. I mean, all I can do is laugh at this. So Dortmund want to bring him back, but they don't want to pay his wages and they don't want to pay a transfer fee for him. Like, what world are these people living on? What, they want us to just give him for free? It's so frustrating, isn't it? It's so frustrating, this Sancho situation. It then goes on to say that Borussia Dortmund are willing to do a loan to buy of around £30 million for Jadon Sancho. So they'd want him in the January transfer window, they get him on loan, they have him until the summer, and then in the summer they'd be willing to pay £30 million for him. I mean, that doesn't sound very good to me personally. £30 million for someone we paid £73 million for 2 years ago. That is a massive issue, isn't it? You know, and no wonder our financial fair play is in such a mess when you buy someone for £73 million and then you lose £43 million on the transfer. Like, it's not good, is it? But let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. Do you think £30 million would be a fair price for Jadon Sancho? If you're looking at it from an outside perspective, he hasn't played football for what, 6 weeks, 7 weeks? He's refusing to apologise. He's pretty much created this situation himself. Some will say that it's Erik ten Hag's fault. I don't believe that personally. I think this is on Jadon Sancho, you know, that he's the one who's diminishing his value. He's come to Manchester United for £73 million. I would say he's put in a handful of good performances, if that, and now he's refusing to play or refusing to apologise. It's not ideal, is it? He's only played 76 minutes worth of football this season. 76 in all competitions. We've played, I think, 10 games now across all competitions. So out of a possible 900 minutes, he's only played 76. He's played less than a tenth of our game time, which I guess from his perspective, you know, does kind of back up his point of why he's annoyed, you know, with the lack of game time. To only play 76 minutes is pretty embarrassing, really, isn't it? But yeah, I saw another story this morning and it explained why Erik ten Hag dropped him before the Arsenal game. And apparently Dan Gore, Hannibal, and one of the other younger players put in way more effort in the training session, you know, in the days leading up to it. And Erik ten Hag has always been that type of person, from what I understand from his time at Ajax, that he picks players based on how much effort they put in. Just because Jadon Sancho costs £73 million, if he turns up late for training, if he doesn't perform in the games, he doesn't track back, you know, he won't get picked. It's as simple as that. And you know what was funny, right? I was watching the David Beckham documentary yesterday, and obviously David Beckham and Sir Alex Ferguson fell out, didn't they? There was the famous scene where Sir Alex Ferguson kicked a boot and it hit David Beckham in the face. So I assume you all remember that. That all happened because apparently David Beckham didn't track back, let his man run past him, and the team scored against Manchester United. I mean, how many times has Jadon Sancho let that happen? How many times have we seen Sancho not run back and then the opponent score? It happened quite a few times last season alone, didn't it? Let's see what people are saying in the chat this morning. Fred says, I feel like there's still more twists in this chaotic takeover. Yes, I agree. Al says, Jim Ratcliffe is just another glazer. More excuses than money. What else have we got? Captain Jack Sparrow says it's almost over for Qatar, but still no agreement with Jim, so it's open. I agree with that. Beaver says, yes, he wants out, loan him and then sell him afterwards. Yeah, I agree. We definitely need to get rid of Jadon Sancho, whether it's a loan whether it's a permanent transfer. I think as long as we recoup some of the money, I'll be somewhat happy. I just think that, you know, buying someone for 73 million, giving him 375 grand a week, and then literally 2 years later only being able to get 30 million for him, it's embarrassing, isn't it? But that's just Manchester United written all over. So the story is also backed up by Rob Dawson, who says Dortmund are now ready to offer Jadon Sancho an escape route from Manchester United in January. So it looks like Dortmund's the most likely option. It would be a loan in January with an obligation to buy in the summer for £30 million. So we'll keep you updated on that one. I just kind of want this Jadon Sancho situation to be over now, really. I think £30 million is a bit of a joke, but we've just got to take it. We've just got to then reinvest that money in another player who can play in that position. We need to find somebody better than Jadon Sancho for 30 million. It can be done. People are probably saying, what are you on about? How are we going to do that? I mean, how much did Matoma cost Brighton? I mean, Matoma would be an interesting option, wouldn't it? But he's going to cost you probably £100 million. So Brighton paid... Let's have a look how much Brighton paid for Matoma. Brighton paid a massive €3 million for Matoma. So it can be done. If our scouts are doing a proper job, we can go out and buy, you know, the next Matoma. We could go out and buy the next, the next Sancho, but like a better version for less than 30 million. We should be able to do that. Those players are available and out there. It's just whether Manchester United are willing to go and buy somebody who isn't a big name, a shirt seller, because that's always been the Glazers, model. It's been, let's go and buy the shirt sellers, let's buy the Sanchos, the Di Marias, the Alexis Sanchez's, the Lukaku's, etc., the Pogbas for the second time, the Ronaldos for the second time. All of the sales are based on commercial. They're not based on what the football team needs. They're not based on our style of play, because we don't have one, and that needs to change. And I think that regardless of whether it's Sheikh Jassim or Sergeant Ratcliffe, that's probably the most important thing for me, is that we actually start seeing an identity. We start seeing a style of play, and we start bringing in players that actually resonate with that style of play and resonate with what Erik ten Hag needs and wants his Manchester United side to look like. So yeah, we'll keep you updated about that one. Dang Sham, one of our members here, says congratulations Kieran for the 20k subs. Thank you very much. If you do want to join the members club, I will drop a link in the chat to do that. I've made the memberships only 99p for this week, just to celebrate achieving 20k subscribers. So if you do want to support the channel, I've just dropped a link in the chat. It's 99p to join the members club. Yeah, it's usually about £3 or £4, but I've made it 99p for 1 week. So do get involved if you are in a position to do that. Scott says, how much do you think we'll get for Sancho realistically? I think 30 million sounds realistic, to be honest. I don't think it's good, but it sounds about right. Like, who's going to pay 70 million for Sancho? He was never worth 70 million, as Declan says in the chat. Never. Not in a million years. So why would anybody in their right mind be like, right, Manchester United paid 70 million. We're going to pay 70 million. He's definitely got an attitude problem. He's had disciplinary issues at every single club he's ever been at. I just think that you're going to have to take whatever you can get at this point. And I think 30 million, yes, it's a disgrace. Yes, we're losing, 43 million pounds plus all the wages we've given him over the last 2 years. But it is what it is. It's either we do that or nothing happens. So it's one of those ones. Yeah, let me know what you guys think, though. Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comment section. Do you want me to get a poll set up for this one? Is that something worth doing? Let me know. If you want a poll, let me know and I'll set up a poll for this. Everybody who's just joined in the last couple of minutes, please do make sure to smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. Bottom right hand corner, get involved. Fran says he wants 50 million minimum. Joe says, I love Sancho, but I think we have given him too much time to prove his worth, and it doesn't work for him. I agree. Zaid says, who's going to pay 30 million and match the wages of 300 grand a week? Look at Maguire's situation. What I would imagine will happen is we'll get 30 million, but we'll have to pay off Jadon Sancho. So we could even end up with even less money than that. So if he is, let me have a look at Jadon Sancho's contract quickly. I mean, I've looked at this before, and it was absolutely mad, the amount of time that he's got left. So he signed a 5-year deal. His contract expires in 2027. Is that right? So no, what? No way. Is he only signed in 2021? Yeah, so he's got this season plus another 3 seasons left. That's mad. Absolutely crazy. So he's got about, after this season, he'll have around £40 million left to pay on his contract. Crazy. So Manchester United will probably just have to give him that 30 million to get him to leave, which is absolutely, it's disgusting. It is, but we've put ourselves in this position realistically, haven't we? Chris says we'll probably end up paying him to go. Yeah, exactly. Somebody says with this front desk section we have, they will let him go for about 15 to 20 mil. The thing is, I don't think they'll be able to, because they'll need to pay him off, because as somebody said earlier on in the chat, Dortmund won't be able to match Jadon Sancho's wages. That's the issue here. That's the issue. If they could match the wages, maybe we could keep the money. Somebody says, Kieran, do you think Sheikh Jassim will make a comeback? It's impossible to predict, to be honest. I would say, I don't know. I really don't. I thought it was all, done in the water. Everybody's saying that Thursday they were going to vote on it. It's Thursday, and now they're saying that they're not going to vote on it for 2 weeks. I would say this. I would say the door is wide open for Sheikh Jassim to return. Whether he will or not, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine with that one. I would probably say, I'll say this. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a twist in the tail. Whether that might be the Glazers reject Sir Jim Ratcliffe's offer and Sheikh Jassim comes back, possibly. Maybe they'll reject his offer and Sheikh Jassim won't come back. I just think that something's going to happen, and I don't think this is the end of the story. I'd be very surprised if it just ends how we're expecting it now. Right, let's move on to this story about the January transfer window, because this is a bit concerning, to be honest. So this is coming out from the Guardian in the UK, which is a newspaper that I think is pretty reliable. It's they write some good stuff in the Guardian, and they are reporting this morning that there is going to be no spending spree for Erik ten Hag if £1.3 billion Manchester United deal is passed. It says because of financial fair play rules, it means extra transfer funds are now unlikely. So the story then goes on to also say, it's a big article on the Guardian's website, saying that ultimately, even if Sir Jim Ratcliffe buys the club before January, that there won't be any money available for the January transfer window. And they're playing the whole financial fair play thing. Well, the thing I'll say to that is, right, the reason Chelsea were able to spend so much money was because their owners invested the money into the team. I think they had a pledged investment of around, I think it was $1 billion, or it might have been $2 billion. I can't remember the exact amount that Chelsea's owners pledged to invest. But when they took over the club, as part of the bidding process, just like Sheikh Jassim did, Sheikh Jassim pledged to invest $1.5 billion. That was, widely noted. Fabrizio, all of the other top journalists saying that Sheikh Jassim had offered X amount of money, clear the debt, and was also going to pledge $1.5 billion of investment over a certain amount of years in the playing squad and the infrastructure and all the rest of it. Sir Jim Ratcliffe hasn't done that. So it looks like they're already starting this whole Sir Jim Ratcliffe can't spend money, his hands are tied behind his back because of financial fair play. Well, no, that's not correct. That's just rubbish, and it's just an excuse. His hands are tied behind his back because he's clearly not willing to invest any money into the team. He's clearly not willing to throw money at a project when he only owns 25% of it. And that's the biggest concern for me with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I think if he was buying 100% of the club, if he had, pledged investment, a new stadium, I would be open to it. I'd have no issue with it whatsoever. But he isn't doing any of that. There's so many question marks, there's so many red flags, and it's just the same thing over and over again. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat this morning. Scott says, wasn't Sancho on about 160 grand a week at Dortmund? Yeah, he was. We doubled his wages. Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting, isn't it? Ruben says, Kieran, make magic. This says, Ruben, Qatar, make magic, please. I just hope Glazers would accept the offer. United have suffered for years now. Ricardo says, it doesn't matter how much United get for Erik ten Hag's scapegoat. He'll still spend it on another Onana or grannies like Rabiot. I mean, that's pretty damning. But the point here is, Ricardo, right? I don't disagree with you, but we need a director of football to come in and to override Erik ten Hag. We need someone to come in and make the decisions for Erik ten Hag, because it shouldn't be up to him. It shouldn't. Saeed says, Qatar was used by the Glazers to prop up the value of the club. Sir Jim's plan is to buy the Glazers 69% for around $5 billion, keep the debt and run the club the way they did with hopefully better football. There you go. That's exactly what his plan is. Yeah, exactly that. Because the thing you have to remember, right, is as much as we dislike the Glazers, as much as we dislike the Glazers, they do spend money every year. Now, just to be clear, that's not their own money. It's money that Manchester United has generated through, our support of the club, through sponsorships, through match-going fans, through through TV revenue and stuff. They spend money. They do. And I think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe will continue to spend money. But the question is, will it be his own money or will it be the money that we already make? You know, will it be the self-efficient Manchester United who already generate, hundreds of millions of pounds every single year? Or will Sir Jim Ratcliffe come along and say, I'm going to invest £1 billion in the team over the next 10 years on top of the money we already generate, so we could be spending 200-300 million per transfer window and still being within financial fair play? Or does he come in and just say, I'm just going to spend the money that we're already generating? Those are all the questions. And I do agree with you, Zaid. I think that he probably will just come in and do exactly the same thing as what the Glazers have done over the last 18 years. And I think that's pretty obvious, really, because there's been nothing put out there about what his plan is. Sheikh Jassim, it was very clear the debt, invest in the team, invest in the infrastructure, new stadium, clear the debt. There was all these things and they were all outlined very, very easily to read. Sir Jim Ratcliffe had none of that, zero. And I think that maybe he did that because he wanted to keep the Glazers on side. We have heard from multiple different people that apparently the Glazers were offended by what Sheikh Jassim almost said about them, saying, that he wanted to make Manchester United great again and all of the rest of it. And, he'd clear the debt. And they felt that he was almost belittling their time at Manchester United, which is absolutely a joke. Somebody says Sir Jim Ratcliffe will spend money because he has a passion for the club. He knows that the club is an asset and he will do it right. Fair enough. That's your opinion. Now, are you saying that he'll spend his own money, or are you saying that he'll spend the money that Manchester United generate already? Because there's two very different things there. The Glazers spend money. They do. They've spent, I think, over £1 billion on transfers in the last 10 years. The Glazers spend money, but they spend our money. They don't spend their own money. So there's a very big difference there. And it's all good and well saying that Sir Jim Ratcliffe will spend money, but you need to differentiate whether you're saying that Sir Jim Ratcliffe will invest his own money as well as spending the money we already generate, which allows us to buy, 100 to 150 million pounds worth of players every single year just from our own pockets, or is he going to spend his own money? Chris says, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has already answered this question. He said he believes he can run the club better on the funds the club makes, better than the Glazers have. He won't be dropping millions or billions of his own money. So he's not going to spend any of his own money then. There you go. So that's been confirmed. Thank you for that, Chris. So he's saying that, trust me, I'll come in, I'll do a better job of spending your money. I'm not going to invest my own money. Yeah, it's just not very good, is it? What makes you think that he's going to do a better job at spending the money? He's got Nice as an example. Nice finished in the top 4 3 years out of 4 before Sir Jim Ratcliffe took over. He now takes over and they haven't finished in the top 4 once. He takes over one of the best clubs in Switzerland and he gets them relegated. I mean, I don't really get it for me personally. It just leaves me so many question marks. Fred says, why are fans thinking of accepting Sir Jim Ratcliffe if the Glazers are still here? Madness. I mean, yeah, it just reinforces why I don't think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is a good person for Manchester United. Obviously, that's just my opinion. Yeah, it's not good, is it? Just jumping back over to the Jadon Sancho situation. There's a story coming out this morning saying that apparently Jadon Sancho is training with the under-18s at Manchester United. He's not training with the first team. He's not even allowed in the canteen at the same time of them. He's been completely separated to the squad. Now, again, it makes me think of the David Beckham documentary when David Beckham was at Real Madrid. But David Beckham was one of the best players in the world football. Jadon Sancho isn't. So I don't think there's this whole excuse where, or not excuse, this whole argument where you could say, oh, you've got to bring Jadon Sancho back. He's going to make all the difference. We'll win the Champions League if Jadon Sancho comes back. Like, we won't. It won't make any difference. Yeah. Let's have a look. Darren says what hasn't been answered yet is what happens to Sir Jim Ratcliffe's 1.5 billion. Is it just it goes straight into the Glazers' pockets, or are they going to reinvest into the club? My understanding of it is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe would be buying some of the Glazers' shares, so he wouldn't be buying, say, all of Joel's shares. He'd be buying percentages of each of the Glazers' shares. So maybe, like, if it's 25% and there's 6 Glazers, maybe he buys 2% of each of their shares, then also buys 12% of the shares from the New York Stock Exchange. So everybody gets a bit of money. That's what my understanding of it is. Joe says, am I right to say that the Glazers were offended because Sheikh Jassim spilled the truth openly to the media? Yeah, I think so. And, yeah. Scott says, what's the name of the team that we've got to play in Turkey? Sorry, my brain is dead. Galatasaray. So you're talking about Champions League. Yeah, we've got to play Galatasaray. Darren says, Dortmund having a laugh, asking 30 million, come back with a bigger offer, get real. Yes, I agree. Yeah, we just have to wait and see what happens here. Obviously, this story from The Guardian this morning is pretty concerning, and I'm not entirely surprised, to be honest, because this financial fair play thing has been used against us for the last year, right? And the simple argument to that is, if the owners invested their own money into the team and into the club, the financial fair play situation changes. It does. So, it's one that we need to keep an eye on. Obviously, I will keep you updated. We aren't expecting to get the answer today, by the way, just so everyone's aware. It's going to be at least 2 or 3 weeks, apparently, before the board vote on Sergeant Ratcliffe's deal. Welcome to Jay, who's just joined the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you so much for your support, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Darren says Ineos are playing games. The thing is, right, Ineos, Sergeant Ratcliffe are business people, Obviously, so is Sheikh Jassim, but they are predominantly business people. And multiple different, journalists throughout this process have said Sergeant Ratcliffe knows how to structure a deal to win it, and he has effectively put himself in the hot seat to win this deal. So you have to respect him for that. From a business perspective, whether or not you want Sergeant Ratcliffe or not, he has literally done everything possible to get his foot in the door. Yeah. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It was just a little bit of a shorter one this morning, but I will, of course, be back at 6 p.m. for your evening show. Please do make sure to smash a like. Please do subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Hope you have a lovely day, everyone. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I'll speak to you all a little bit later.